Welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm your host, Chief David Malloy, Director of Public Safety for the City of Novi, and I'm really proud to have Officer Akthar Hossain on the show today to talk about traffic safety. Welcome, Akthar.
Thank you, Chief.
Why don't you start off by telling the viewing audience a little bit about yourself, your background, your education, and what brought you here to Novi?
I was born and grew up in Bangladesh, came to the United States in 2004, 2010 went to the police academy, graduated, started working at Jackson Police Department for 3 years, and before coming to Novi, it's been 3.5 great years with Novi Police Department so far.
Excellent. And what's your current assignment, Akthar?
I was assigned to the traffic unit of Novi Police Department for August of 2016.
Okay. And so you're focusing every day, your efforts along with the other traffic officers, you're focusing on our high accident intersections and also kind of what we look at as our high violations. Can you tell the viewing audience a little bit about some of those areas that you're focused on throughout the community?
Yes, Chief. Obviously, as you know, that we do deal with a lot of traffic, which Novi developed pretty quick, but the roads weren't. Which is true for throughout the Michigan, but especially in Novi. In city of Novi, obviously, we are a center of commerce and a residential boom that we have. We do have a lot of traffic goes through the Novi area, especially on Novi and I-96 area, Novi and Grand River, back in Grand River, back in Pontiac Trail. So those are the high accident and high traffic area that we see, and we try to put our effort there to reduce the accident and save lives through the traffic enforcement.
Excellent. And what are some of the more frequent violations that you all are seeing when we're looking at targeting those areas for selective enforcement? Because I think one of the things I think get lost in the translation is I look at it as there's 3 E's of traffic enforcement. There's education, there's engineering with proper road design, proper signage and signalization, but there's also the last one that we sometimes have to focus on, and that's enforcement. So what are some of the higher violations that you're seeing through the course of your duties?
Yes, Chief. As the technology developed, obviously it distracts us while we drive. The main thing is people using their phone, not necessarily texting and driving, as well as they're talking on the phone, which takes attention from it. Obviously, it is not illegal to do so, but at the same time, sometimes it takes attention away from your driving and paying attention around and your surrounding. Texting and driving is the huge that we are looking at right now. People are really advancing towards it, not only texting other people, but using social media as they are driving. So those are the upward trends, and which results in most of rear-end accidents, especially on a stop-and-go traffic when we have a high congested traffic area. So we are focusing on distracted driving and taking traffic enforcement action with that.
Excellent. And I know particularly on Novi Road, anywhere between 12 Mile all the way down to Grand River, that is predominantly, we're seeing rear-end accidents. People are, number one, they're following too closely. They're probably too close to the car in front of them. But they're also getting distracted by that, whether it's a smartphone device, a phone, the navigation, the radio. What's the message we need to send to people every single day?
I believe as a traffic officer here, Chief, I think paying attention is the huge thing. Anything that takes attention from you, from driving, should be stopped doing, especially texting and driving, updating social media, or even talking on the phone if that takes away your attention from your surrounding and the speed limit and the traffic ahead of you.
Excellent, excellent. And I know as a traffic officer, you get to hear some of probably the best excuses in the world. Any idea what one of the best excuses was you had for whether it was speeding or texting while driving or anything?
My daughter is at the hospital,
and
I stopped that vehicle at the entrance of the hospital. So I said, okay, let's go see how is your daughter doing. Then she finally admitted that daughter was not at the hospital.
Wasn't exactly the truth.
Correct.
Wasn't exactly the truth. One of the intersection you talked about, Grand River, Grand River, Novi, we see tens of thousands of cars going through that on a daily basis. I know being cognizant of some of the turning movements throughout there is also important, but is that also the same theory that don't drive while distracted, because we're seeing those types of crashes at Grand River and Beck and Grand River and Novi Road?
Yes, I believe so, Chief. I think stop-and-go traffic is the most dangerous situation rather than a steady speed like a freeway. Most of the rear-end accident happens because people do get tired coming from work, or the traffic get really congested bumper to bumper, and being distracted with another device, which is a huge thing while you take your attention away from the road. So typically the research shows that it takes about 1 or 2 seconds if you take your eyes off the road, and those accidents happens.
And people don't realize if they're traveling at 55, 60 miles an hour legally in a zone, that if you take your eyes off the road for literally 2 or 3 seconds, you've gone 2, 3, 400 yards, and anything can happen. A car can be stopped in front of you, an animal, a deer could jar out. It's absolutely critical to pay attention at all times.
That is correct, Chief. Again, if you're going 55 miles an hour, you travel almost 1,000 feet within like 2 to 3 seconds. So that's a long distance for you to take those eyes away from it. Probably when you're texting, it's just 2 or 3 seconds, but the distance that you are traveling and the speed that you are at, which makes it also more dangerous.
Excellent, excellent. How about seatbelt use? I know we're still up in the mid to high 90s in terms of the percentage of motorists that are using that. Is that something that you're still seeing as a concern, or has the message been good that people are buckling up?
I am still seeing the trend of not buckling up, but I would say this, that younger people are more into buckling up than the older folks because I believe that it was integrated in their head when they go through their driving training school that seatbelt saves lives, and that message has been sent to our newer generation. I am seeing that older generation is more reluctant to use their seatbelt than the younger ones.
And I know just recently we participated in a crackdown on distracted driving, and we not only utilized the men and women in uniform, but we also used kind of ghost riders, if you will, in unmarked cars where they were finding the people that were texting while driving and then radioing ahead, and we were quite successful in that campaign, and that's something that we're going to continue to do.
We certainly were. I was very excited to be part of it. Again, we drive big cars with marking on it, which is necessary, but it also makes our job harder to find distracted driving, because when they see a police car, obviously it wasn't me who was doing it. But the detail that we had, it was very successful because we catch a lot of driver driving distracted. Majority of them did admit because we can see it on a unmarked vehicle, which is more usable in this sort of detail when we do.
Well, excellent. Well, Officer Hossain, I really appreciate everything you do for our community. I appreciate most of the fact that, number one, you want to keep your area safe. You want to keep these roadways safe. But you come to work every single day. You got a great attitude and you work hard. And on behalf of all the community members and all the members of our organization, I want to say thank you for that. And thank you for appearing behind the badge.
Thank you, Chief.
And to you, the viewing audience, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Badge. And until next time, keep watching Novi Television.